everybody. This is Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so...
How are you, Brian? Been doing all right, bud?
I'm good. I'm good. My new job is amazing. I like it.
Good. That's good.
It's early in the morning, so I'm just woken up, so I'm only a half here, but we'll proceed anyways.
My job's still, I would say, maybe one notch above hell.
That's putting it mildly.
Well, I'm in a good mood.
I mean, this is the thing, though. You do it to yourself because...
Oh, I know. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
It's actually interesting. When I got my new job, and I'm not going to say where I work now, but when I got my new job, it's amazing how many people from our old job are there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, there was 3 in my orientation class that are from our old place.
Really?
And there's at least 2 to 3 that work there on a constant basis that used to work at our old job. It's like they all migrated because...
Well, the thing about your old job, like your current job...
Sucks hot dick.
Well, but if you work there for an extended, decent amount of time, 6 months to a year...
Oh, yeah.
You become so accustomed to working basically 5 12-hour shifts that getting a job that is just 5 8-hour shifts... They basically nothing.
Oh, dude, it feels like I'm raping them. You're right. 8 hours.
Right.
8 hours is so easy. It's stupid.
You get off at the same time I do. You go in 4 hours later.
Oh yeah, it's so easy. It's unreal. Like 8 hours fly.
Well, it
feels like I'm not even at work because it's
out in 7.5 tonight.
Yeah,
and it was literally felt like a day off.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. Like every time I go to work, it's like I'm not even working.
You're an asshole, so.
Yeah, I get it. I get it easy. Easy. Not only is it easy work, it's really fast paced, so the night flies by anyways. So the night just goes by quick as shit.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
Yeah. And this job is extremely fast paced, like I'm constantly moving.
Yeah.
So I don't even have time to know what time it is. Like they'll give me breaks and I'm like, what? It's been 2 hours.
Nice.
What's going on? Plus, in an 8-hour shift, they give you 2 20-minute breaks plus a half an hour. Right. So, in an 8-hour shift, you're only actually working like 7 hours. And sometimes the lines have to stop for changeovers.
They give you what kind of break again?
2 20s and a half hour in an 8-hour shift.
What?
Yeah.
2 20s and a half hour in 8 hours?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I get a cakey, boy. Yeah, we only work look, I'm there about 2 hours and then I get a break. I'm there about another hour and a half, I get another break. And then I'm there another 2 hours and I get another break.
And you get every Saturday off.
And I get every Saturday off. And Friday, technically.
I might have to look into that.
Yeah. It's an amazing job. And it pays almost the same as you're making now. And
money's important. It's not everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. The hours that I'm working right now, it's nice.
Yeah.
The paychecks are nice.
Well, you can work those hours there. I mean, anytime I want, I can come in for overtime. I can come in on second shift.
They volunteer overtime.
Yeah, I can come in any day I want from 6 to 6 if I choose to.
There you go.
So, anytime I want extra time, I can come in from 6 to 6.
Yeah, and see, that's how overtime should be. It shouldn't be mandated.
No.
It should be voluntary.
No. Well, they do mandate.
If you want to keep employees.
Well, they do mandate. When they get busy, like coming up, we're going to hit our busy time, which is like right before Christmas and shit,
right. Which
is actually interesting. That's the other good part about this job, is that like the job we used to have, their slow time is during the winter when you need the money.
Yeah. Right
before Christmas when you want the money, they aren't giving you any hours. This job, when you want the money and it's wintertime and you're not wanting to go outside anyways, that's when they flood you with extra days and you work 6 days a week and you're working extra hours because they need the product out then, and that's when you want the money anyways. I don't mind working 6 days a week if it's in the winter. What do I got to do in the middle of freaking December? Nothing. Right.
Do a podcast episode.
Yeah, it's snowing outside, it's cold, and I don't want to be outside anyways. And I need the money because Christmas is coming up. it's cold. I have more heating bills. I have things like that.
Yeah. Well, we got to, I think we're going to the North Pole again, are we not?
Yeah, this year, we got to do another Christmas special. You're right.
I mean, the elves want to make it a tradition, so we're going in for number 2.
I know.
Whew.
You know what's funny?
I'm going to have to build up my tolerance.
What's humorous is that most of our downloads now are our old episodes. Like, I look at it, and the new episodes get like maybe 2 to 5 every week, which is obviously the people that have caught up.
Yeah.
But our old episodes, like I look back, and every week they're getting more and more downloads, like 40 to 50 to 24 to 25.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so people are listening, but they're still listening to our old stuff because they're starting at the beginning.
To me, that says that they're clicking on us.
Yeah.
They're scrolling through our content and then choosing whatever piques their interest.
Well, no, what they're doing is they're going from our back catalog forward.
Right.
Like, as you go back, the older episodes are getting more and more views than the newer ones because they obviously are starting at 1 and working their way forward.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Strawberry Cunt,
yes.
on YouTube,
yes,
has now over 100 views.
Nice.
Our TikTok has over 200 followers at this point.
Just one episode at a time, Bob. One day at a time.
Well, the TikTok's doing really well, and we have more followers on TikTok than we do on anything else. Although our story and investigation has over 70 views now.
Nice.
Yeah, so we get more and more views on our YouTube.
We got time.
Week.
I mean, there'll be time coming up when now your schedule's set and I won't be so busy. We can start getting more TikTok.
Oh, well, I can make TikToks anytime. The problem with TikToks is, and this is the biggest problem we have with it, they ban so much of our shit. Because, I mean, it's just...
I can't imagine why anybody would ban us.
They took the audio out of the last one.
Strawberry Cunt? That's perfectly family friendly. Come on.
They took the audio out of the last one because I posted it and she said the dick goes in the pussy or somewhere. The penis gets really hard.
Yeah.
And they banned the audio because they said it was a violation of sexual standards on TikTok. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, you got half naked women bouncing up and down all day long on TikTok, half naked.
Right.
And that's perfectly fine, but you say penis getting hard in vagina.
I don't know. If you would have just said penis or soft penis.
You can't say...
Is that fine?
No.
Penis is not good?
No.
So the technical scientific term for my cock cannot go on TikTok.
Now, YouTube had no problem with it. YouTube was perfectly fine with it. I posted it on YouTube, with an explicit warning, and they were cool. They were fine.
Warning.
Yeah, we're cool. So if you like my TikToks, you might want to go and check out YouTube because they'll be uncensored there. TikTok, I got to censor myself quite a bit. I can put certain things on there, but not a lot.
You know what I say, man? If we're getting phone calls because we're creating controversy somewhere, that's a good thing.
Phone calls? Hell, I'm getting almost banned from TikTok. They're going to delete my account. I'm going to have to restart the whole thing. Fucking assholes.
You stay persistent, man. You got to stay persistent.
Yes. So what are we talking about today? Because we're about 8 minutes in at this point.
The Watchers.
The Watchers.
The Book of Enoch, the Apocrypha.
Oh, I thought you were talking about porno perverts.
Watchers?
Yeah.
Oh, like a voyeur?
The Watchers, yeah. Looking in the windows.
Well...
Which I don't mind.
Sneaky.
I mean, I don't mind. I mean, if you want to see my dick, feel free.
Oh, look right in my window.
It's not impressive, but you can watch.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would want to spy on me.
If you want to see a 3-inch cock, please.
But yeah, I mean, there's no reason to spy. If you want to look, you can let me know you're spying. I'll put on a little show for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll do the full version.
I'll fucking put the towel between my legs
yeah.
and fucking floss.
Hell yeah. I'll get the arrow wig out. We'll get to business.
Oh, yeah. Dude, this is funny. My brother just got a divorce, bought a new house.
Yeah, you told me.
This house, the bathroom and the toilet has a bidet.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, he said he will never ever have a toilet that doesn't have a bidet from here on out.
Have you never used a bidet?
No, I haven't.
It's interesting. It's short. It kind of shoots warm water up your butthole. Yeah.
He said he hasn't made his way up to fucking the high setting yet.
No.
He said He said the medium's just perfect.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I literally use one fucking thing of toilet paper.
Oh, yeah. You don't even really have to use toilet paper except to dry your butthole off.
That's what he said.
Yeah. It's not really necessary.
So, yeah, I was cracking up. That's hilarious.
No, bidets are lovely. They are. But I don't see the point in them because it's just another device to have in my bathroom. Just to shoot water at my ass. If I really wanted... if I really want to do that, my shower is right next to my toilet. I could just jump in, turn on high stream, and get to business.
True.
It's not really
not everybody
a
takes a
necessity.
shower after every shit.
Well, no, but I mean, if I was...
But then again...
if I was inclined to shoot water in my ass, I would. I didn't even have to take a shower. All I got to do is stick my ass in the shower and turn it on high setting and get to business.
Like, I guess the only setting I guess I would be in where I would be concerned about the overall cleanliness of my asshole would be if I'm having sex with a woman. But it's not, I don't think it's going to come so like, I'm going to know that I'm going to go see her. So I'm going to make sure that I'm clean. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think a bidet is just one of those things, It's a luxury, not a necessity.
Well, and you only care about the cleanliness of your asshole when you first have sex with a woman. After you're married.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right.
Me, after you're married for a little while,
When we first meet and she's still in the, I probably would lick your asshole stage. You know what I mean? Just out of courtesy.
Yeah, once you're married for a little while, I mean, you've noticed every nasty thing a human being can do, so,
Yeah, a couple skid marks is the least of your worries. You just set that aside.
Yeah, a little, I take a shit, go right to fucking. Right. You gotta do what you gotta do when you have kids and you're married. It's just, you find time.
I think it's hilarious that you are like, all right, we're 8 minutes in, what are we talking about? And then 5 minutes later, we're talking about fucking assholes.
Well,
It's hilarious.
That's what we're talking about today.
Bidets and dirty assholes.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about bidets and dirty assholes.
Motherfucker.
and your preference on whether or not you go barebacking with a dirty asshole while you fuck women. That's what the episode's about all day long. Fuck the paranormal. We're going to talk about hell class and dirty assholes today.
I wonder if ghosts and spirits, I wonder if they fuck. And if they do, I wonder if they're worried about the hygiene of their assholes.
I would imagine they can't because from everything I've heard about ghosts and spirits, they can pass through walls and they're, ethereal. So I would assume there's no cock to fuck with, which is probably very frustrating.
No feeling. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Although I have heard about women.
Do I really want to ascend into a spirit being if I can't get my dick wet?
I mean, I've heard that women get raped by spirits, though. So, and I mean, there's.
Well, that's
There is talking, and we're going to talk about that today. Actually, it's funny because we are going to talk about spiritual beings fucking chicks.
That's a good segue, man.
Yeah, that is a good way to just move right into it.
I've always found it interesting that in the Bible it talks about the sons of God coming into the daughters of men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's interesting because that's two separate beings.
Yeah.
The sons of God are different than the daughters of men.
Well, that's what a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of different beings if you look at the Bible.
Oh, absolutely.
And most people just think of God and then angels.
Yeah.
But what you got is
demons.
Yeah. Well, demons are angels too, technically. Right. But what you actually have is there's many levels of different beings. There's gods, more than one. Then there's the son of gods, which are called the Watchers, which we're going to talk about today. And then there's angels, and there's also archangels, and there's different types, different variations of beings that all live in this heavenly body. And they actually, it's interesting, the Watchers aren't even said to be created by God. The only description of them are the sons of God, and they are set by God to watch human beings. That was their sole purpose, to watch the earth and report back to God what humans were doing.
Right.
Right. So angels are the servants of God, which they're the slaves. They go around doing all the menial tasks in heaven, like cleaning the clouds and such. And, they're the maids and the butlers. And, they watch the gate there, and then, when you get there, they open the door, and they're like, no, you're not on the list. I'm sorry. They're the bouncers and such. And then you got the watchers, and the watchers are the guys that sit there and watch us. They're perverts.
Let me ask you this.
They're the perverts.
Do you believe that we are beings of light?
I believe we're
light beings.
I believe we're beings of energy. I don't know about lightness.
Well, light is energy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but there's a lot of different energies.
Right, and there's a lot of different light. Right?
Well, yeah, correct. Yeah.
So,
well, I guess all energy is light. It's
light,
in the
right?
light spectrum.
We are waves of light.
Yes, true, yeah.
Right? And so to me, when we're talking about God sending down people, we're talking about beings, we're talking about people here, okay? Mm-hmm. We're talking about flesh and blood, physical people. Hey, guys, go down there and watch what these dumb motherfuckers are doing.
Well, actually, they weren't supposed to even come down here. They were actually standing in the, it says they were still standing in the ethereal plane of heaven. So they were on the, outskirts.
So to me, that means if they were once physical like us, they have now ascended into another level of being, of light being, right? Where they're not flesh.
Well, no, they're still flesh.
It's just a different kind.
Different kind of flesh, but
right.
yes.
But then,
God has
that's
flesh.
why, because I always found this interesting too, that they came down, they fell from heaven. The fallen angels mated. This happened when they mated with women on earth.
Well, we've got to specify. There's fallen angels.
Yes.
And they did mate with women.
Right.
And made a race of beings that were bigger than even the giants.
So not only are they not from here, right, because they came down here, well, they gotta be goddamn somewhat like us, man. Their plumbing works. They impregnated women.
Well, God says there's perfect bodies. He just made us imperfect. Because of, according to the Bible, because of Adam's sin. Up until Adam and Eve started fucking, which is clearly why they got kicked out of the garden. I mean, anybody who thinks it was really over a fruit and a tree is just retarded. Well, and what it really means, that's a euphemism for
it's because they ate
fucking.
From the tree. It's because they gained knowledge.
Well, yeah, but the knowledge and the tree is us. The fruit is obviously your genitals. And the knowledge of good and evil that they were talking about was them fucking. What they did was they figured out, I mean, God ain't going to kick you out of the garden because there's a tree in there with a fruit on it that you're not supposed to eat.
Why would the Almighty God, creator of the universe, kick you out of anything?
Well, this is the thing. If God
why would he not know that they were going to fuck?
Well, this is the thing. If it really was a tree and a fruit, okay, he's God. If he didn't want you eating from a tree, which had literal fruit on it and wasn't a metaphor, he just wouldn't have made the fucking tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because he's God.
Right.
He made the damn tree because the tree was there. Okay, he wouldn't tell you, okay, I'm going to make this tree, but you're not allowed to eat it from it. No, the fruit means sex. Okay, he put Adam and Eve there. They figured out they were naked and that they could fuck. And once they figured out they could fuck, God said, hey,
right.
Can't have fucking in the garden.
You're saying. I really do.
Yeah. We can't have this.
Here's my argument. All animals know how to fuck.
Well, yeah, but
But not all of them know who they are. They don't have knowledge.
Yeah, they didn't know how to fuck.
Don't eat from the tree of knowledge.
See, what it was this is what happened, right? The snake, a.k.a. Satan, came into the garden, right? He went up to Eve and he said, hey, you know what your vagina is used for, don't you? And she's like, well, it's just here. And he said, no. Watch me. I'll show you what it's used for, baby.
Right.
And he gave her some of that hot snake oil.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, it's good. It's real good. So then she came to Adam and she said, hey, you know what you can do with your dick, dude?
Right.
Watch this. Yeah, let me show you.
Yeah, watch what this motherfucker does. Take him here, Satan.
Yeah, let me show you what we can do.
And that actually was one of the very first pornos. That's how it all began.
Right.
Adam watched Satan butt fuck Eve.
Right.
porn ministry was born.
Right.
Satan.
Then Adam started
Satan,
fucking.
that sneaky bastard.
And once he started fucking, he got her pregnant.
Right.
Which is the fruit that we're talking about. And God said, hey, no, we can't have this. I told you not to be fucking. Y'all want to start fucking, get out the garden.
Here's what I think.
See you later. We're done.
There's a race of beings here toiling on the earth, mining the earth for minerals, for gold.
Right.
They are in charge of fucking all this work, man. And they get pissed and they revolt. And they say, we're not fucking doing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Satan, God, or in the snake in the Garden of Eden story, starts tinkering with whatever it is that's on this earth that he has evolved. That we, whether it be apes or Neanderthal or Cro-Magnon or Denisovan or all these other humanoid beings and fossils that we have around the earth, they start tinkering, man. They need somebody to do the work for them.
Yes.
Okay? But it's got to be a specific kind of being. It's got to be able to do the work, but also take instruction, right? Obey its master. But it's also got to be damn intelligent. And so what happens is Satan, the snake, tinkers a little bit too much. Makes us a little bit too much like them. Right? And the God, which actually isn't the God Almighty, right? This is Satan. We're talking about brothers now. Satan, which his real name is Enki, and Enlil, who is God. Because they had a deal, right? Yeah, you can do this, but you can't fucking make them like us. Because if you fucking make them like us, they could become greater than us.
Right.
They can't have the knowing. They can't have the knowledge of who they are because then they don't need us.
Right.
We won't be able to control them. And then he finds out because they were naked and they covered themselves up. Right? Because nothing else in nature does this. Nothing else in nature acts like this. Now he knows they know.
Oh, yeah.
And he can't have these motherfuckers contaminating the rest of the garden, this experiment they got going on.
Right.
We got to get them the fuck out of here.
Right. But the Watchers, what they actually are, and what it says in the Bible they are, is those who are awake. They are the guard watchers. The ones who guard humans and make sure humanity does what they're supposed to do. And they're referenced in a few books. They're referenced, first of all, in Daniel. And Daniel 4:13, 17, and 23. There's three references to the classic Watchers, or the Watcher Holy Ones, which are the good Watchers, the ones that stayed in heaven. Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel says, he saw a Watcher, a Holy One, come down from heaven. He described how in his dream the Watcher says to Nebuchadnezzar, "Will eat grass and be mad," and this is a punishment by the decree of the Watchers, by the demand of the Holy Ones. The living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of heaven. After hearing the king's dream, Daniel considers for an hour and then responds. And because the king saw a Watcher, a Holy One, coming down from heaven and saying, "Chop down the tree and destroy it, but leave the stump of its roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze in the tender grass of the field, and let him be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portions be with the beasts of the field, till 7 periods of time pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king. It is a decree of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king, that you shall be driven from among men, and your dwelling with the beasts in the fields. You shall be made to eat grass like an ox, and you shall be wet with the dew of heaven. 7 periods of time shall pass, till you know that the Most High rules the kingdom of men, gives you unto his will." So, basically what it's saying is the Watchers are not angels. They are a type of angel, but they are put above the angels. They are the holy ones. They are like God's chosen holy beings that are sons of God, that their sole purpose is to carry out, basically they're the judges. They sit there and watch what human beings are doing. And when human beings get out of sorts,
because
they come down here and they're like, look, this is what is going to happen.
They're not allowed to intervene.
No, they're the judges.
But they also, can prevent us from destroying the planet.
Right. Once we do something wrong,
they don't really mind if we destroy each other.
No.
But nuclear weapons, they can't let this happen.
Yeah. They came out of heaven and basically they told Nebuchadnezzar, look, you're fucking up. So this is your punishment.
Right.
So they're the ones that go to God and say, hey, this is what he's doing. And God said, well, this is what you're going to do to him. So you go over there and you tell him this is what's going to happen. And then they come back and they say, hey, this is what's going to happen to you. Since you want to act stupid, this is God's judgment. They're kind of like the police of heaven, is what they are.
Interesting side note, Saddam Hussein claimed that he was a reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar.
Of Nebuchadnezzar, huh?
Yeah.
He might have been.
But what you're saying, too, is interesting because in the book of Enoch, which the book of Enoch, man, that's one of my favorite all-time, life-changing, mind-blowing, books that I've ever read. You know what I mean? Because Ancient Aliens is when I was watching an episode of that when they were talking about it, is where I heard about it. Well, and it's actually was in the original canon.
Yes.
So the Christian canon that in Ethiopia they still have it in there. But the canonized Bible here in the Western world, they have omitted it. But the book of Enoch, basically Enoch is Noah's great grandfather, and he was taken up. Right? It says he was taken up to heaven. But he was then given the responsibility when brought back down. But basically he was being the middleman between God, who took him up to heaven, and the watchers, the fallen angels, right, who had mated with the women. And God has now punished them to stay on the earth. Like, you're banished, bub. You're staying down there. And he was like the mediator between them. You know what I'm saying? I thought that's interesting.
I've been reading the book of Enoch because that, as you see, I have it. But in the book of Enoch, the Watchers are dispatched to earth to watch over humans. That's what they were supposed to do. And Enoch said he saw the Watchers. He lived with them. They watched over the earth. But Enoch talks about not the good Watchers. Enoch talks about the ones that, not the ones that stayed in heaven, the ones Daniel was talking about. But Enoch talks about the ones that came to earth to watch over humans and actually did what they weren't supposed to do.
Right.
Because they started to lust for human women.
And see, this also, though, is where I have an issue. Too, because in these books, in these texts, these watchers, these beings, are being talked about as bad, as negative. They're being punished for the things they've done. But what they did was they gave us knowledge.
Yeah.
Everything that we have was given to us originally by these beings. And they're called, and they fell from somewhere.
Well, no, they were dispatched here originally by God. God put them here to watch us, to guard over humanity. That was their original purpose. They were dispatched to earth to watch over us.
Dispatched from where, though,
From heaven.
Right.
God bring them, Enoch says that God dispatched them from heaven.
Is such a broad term.
To live, wherever God was. He dispatched these watchers to stay on earth, to watch over humans and make sure that humans didn't get too crazy, basically.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right. To make sure they didn't do something stupid. Well, the problem was their leader, which Enoch says who the leader of the Watchers were.
Was it Sammy?
Yeah, Sammy was the leader of the Watchers.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They have names.
No, yeah, they all
names.
Had names. Yeah.
Crazy.
But Sammy was the leader of the Watchers, and he's the one that started lusting after women, human women. And God said, no. Your type of being cannot breed with humans, because when you do, you're going to cause something that I don't want to happen. Which is exactly what happened. Sammy and the rest of them start fucking women, and they invented the children were Nephilim.
Yeah.
And Nephilim are savage giants who actually started going crazy and destroying the earth. They were giant people, 7 to 8 foot tall, it says, sometimes up to 12 foot. The biggest one was 12 foot. And if for anybody who doesn't believe this, the Nephilim are clearly in the Bible throughout the Bible. I mean, look at, who was it? David. He killed a Nephilim, a giant named Goliath, who was 9 foot tall.
Absolutely.
A 9 foot tall giant. There was a whole race of these.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, and there's bones. There's fossil bones.
Yeah, they found them. Yeah,
they found literally every corner of the world.
Yeah, of Nephilim. Right.
Well, I mean, call them what you want, but it's undeniable that they're fucking giant they're giant humanoid beings.
Well, the DNA's still there, because every now and again you get 7 foot tall people, 8 foot tall people.
Right.
You know, and it's rare. It's a rare genetic condition now, but it's still in the human being's DNA. So that tells you right there that they obviously existed.
Yep.
And if you believe any of the Bible, even if you say Enoch isn't real, okay, we don't believe that. Well, you got to believe David. It says David killed Goliath.
Sure.
Goliath was a giant. Therefore, it's telling you right there that the Nephilim existed. Mm-hmm. It says it throughout the Bible. Yeah.
Some kind of being that was huge in stature, that was different than David.
Well, 9 foot tall, and he said he could destroy whole armies with one jawbone of an ox. So he could kill an ox with his bare fucking hands and kill whole armies of men.
So my other thing is if these beings mated with women and created this giant species, then they had to be giant, right? And that means that the women that were mating with couldn't have been petite.
Well, who knows? I mean, the baby could have came out normal and just grew to be a giant.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because, I mean, giants don't start out big. They start growing big.
But it would just be kind of odd if two beings are mating that, you know, are similar in stature to us, all of a sudden sprout this giant species that was causing global cataclysm. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about just a couple people mating here. We're talking about a whole fucking world full of dumb motherfucking giant assholes running around that needed to be destroyed.
Yeah, right. Well, not only did Samyaza start mating with humans and make Nephilim, but he also taught humans arts, technology such as the will and fire. It says that he taught them how to make weapons. He taught them how to make mirrors. He taught them how to make cosmetics and sorcery techniques. Now, see, these things would have been discovered eventually anyways by humans as we evolved. But God didn't want it dropped on us all at once. Right. And this guy dropped all this knowledge at the exact moment. God wanted to gradually...
You're not supposed to intervene like that.
Right. God wanted it to gradually get to us. Yeah. So that way we learned a little bit at a time and we weren't overwhelmed. Right. This guy dropped all the knowledge at the same time.
We're getting treated the same way today.
Right, yeah.
I mean, in all your movies and all your everything you watch on TV, on your cell phone, all this shit. It's all predictive programming, man. It's programming you for something. It's just little by little building you up to alien disclosure. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, this is what happens. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. And the book of Enoch kind of explains it more than Genesis and other ones. See, what happened was these watchers came down. They mated with humans, and they made so many Nephilim that the Nephilim were taking over the earth. They were destroying the human race. They were a scourge on this planet. So no humans were going to live here anymore. So that is why, and see, the Bible wants you to believe that God sent this great flood because humans were evil. That's not why he sent the flood. In Enoch, it explains it. It says he sent the flood to kill the Nephilim. Or to kill most of them. He didn't kill them all, but it got most of them.
Basically to rid the fucking planet
of what the Watchers were doing.
Because the Watchers, like you said, they intervened when they weren't supposed to by mating with women, and they've created now
a race of abominations.
Yes.
That are going to destroy what God has created.
That need to be fucking wiped out so we can start over.
Right, because God created the earth for humans, not for these creatures that are a combination of humans and celestial beings from wherever God is.
Yeah, it was the planet has been created in such a way that we have dominion over it.
Right. And
if done the right way.
And this is the point. You have, now, some say God. I personally believe, like you do, aliens. Mm-hmm. I believe they were an alien race that came down here and had sex with humans. Mm-hmm. And when you mix the alien DNA and the human DNA, you created these abominations that God said, no, we can't have this shit, man.
Right.
You've created a mixture of two races from one world and another world, and you've created these giants that are going to destroy the planet. We've got to destroy these motherfuckers.
Right, which to me gives credence to the fact that we were tinkered with, right? And we are some kind of creation.
Mm-hmm.
And that, but we have to basically reproduce. Like it was okay to jumpstart our brain to make us more intelligent. But like you said, it wasn't okay to start mixing DNA and genes.
Right.
It would be okay if you just let us naturally jumpstart our brain, but you still got to let us reproduce and evolve naturally from there.
Yeah, because otherwise you're fucking with the experiment.
Yes, you're fucking
with what I'm trying to do.
Going against the prime directive. It's
right.
a goddamn prime directive is the shit. Like whoever makes these movies, like, where do you think they're getting this shit from?
Well, not only that,
they're getting this shit from ancient texts.
Well, not only that, it's just like it is nowadays. If someone in charge tells you not to do something and you do it, you are punished.
You're going to pay the
for what you're doing,
whether you think it's right or not. Right? Exactly.
Right. So not only did these watchers do all of this, but this is interesting. After the flood and Noah's around, and it didn't eradicate the whole human race, but a lot of them, and the flood goes away, God in Enoch says that God bound the watchers. He couldn't kill them. He bound them and threw them in the valleys of the earth, in the dark places of the earth, which to me says under the ground.
Inner earth.
Right. He threw them in the earth.
100%.
Where they were bound until his judgment. So he put them inside the earth, in the darkness, under the earth, in the valleys, under the earth.
Which begs the question, when is the judgment? Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, it begs the question, where are they?
And that also means that what we're talking about is a very fucking intelligent, very fucking ancient, very fucking advanced race of beings that currently reside inside the earth. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, there's a whole list of them, too. There's 10
There's 200 of them, right?
Yeah, and there's 10 chiefs of the watchers. The 10 chiefs are Simhaza, and this is a leader. There is Artakof. Second to him is Ramashel. Then Kobakal, Armahal, Ramal, Daniel, Ezekiel, Barkel, Azael, Hermione, Martel, Anel, Setawal, Samashel, Serhal, Tumel, Turel, Yamel, Yedihal. And these are all the ones that are chiefs of the watchers that run the tribes.
Run the show.
And there's over 200 of them.
They're the bosses.
That live under the earth.
And so it's like, how long have they been there? And surely 200 is now a lot more than that. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, we're talking about they could have an entire advanced civilization going on inside the earth, and they could be the ones who control us. I always found that interesting too, because where do you think God is?
Right.
Where are you looking when you're looking for God? Are you looking down into the earth? Or are you looking up into the sky? And who put that in your mind? Because that's what I would do. if I was controlling you from underground, I'd make sure you're always looking up, motherfucker.
Well, see, there's other, and each one of these that are chieftains have an actual thing they did that in Enoch, he says what they taught humanity. So Armoros taught humanity how to do enchantments. And then Azael taught humanity to make knives, swords, shields, and devise ornaments and cosmetics. Mm-hmm. Then Jaddarel taught cosmetics of using weapons and bows. Barkel taught astrology. Now, we don't know about Bezaleel because he taught things, but he's mentioned as teaching humans things, but a lot of it was damaged, the manuscript, so we don't have the full book of Enoch on some things, so we don't know what he taught humans, but he's mentioned in the book. And then there's one that taught humans meteorology. Kobiel, he is actually interesting. He didn't teach humans anything, but he's a resident. It says he is a resident of the nether realms of the earth and commands 365,000 spirits that do his bidding.
Interesting.
And he instructs
365,000, 365 days.
Yeah, 365,000 surrogate spirits do his bidding. And he is the watcher of astrology.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And see, I don't necessarily know, or I don't think it's necessary. We should necessarily assume that all the watchers are male.
No, there's females.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, man, we're talking about beings that supposedly did something wrong that are being punished by being bound here, but they're the ones that have gave us all this knowledge, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They've taught us all this shit. Because there's all kinds of shit that go, like, that's fucking cell phone in your hand, man. Mm-hmm. Like, are you telling me that just a fucking regular human being just sprouted the idea?
Well, this is the other thing.
No, dude, somebody's helping us with
this is the other thing. If you want to say that Enoch isn't a real book, let's go back to Genesis. Because Genesis 6, 1 through 4 says, when men began to multiply on the earth, and this is straight out of the Bible.
Yeah.
And daughters were born to them. The sons of God, who was referred to as the watchers in Enoch, yes. So the sons of God, saw how beautiful the daughters of man were.
Right.
And so they took them for their wives, as many of them as they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit will not remain forever in man, since he is flesh. His days will be comprised of 120 years. Mm. And at that time, Nephilim, and this is straight out of Genesis, appeared on the earth, as well as later. So they didn't just appear then, they came later too. So there was a lot of Nephilim born from the sons of God, which, what was Jesus? A son of God. Right. So what are these? A son of God. So...
And what did Jesus say that you were?
A son of God.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the sons of God are beings like Jesus. So for you to sit here and say that Jesus was the only son of God, that directly
contradicts
Genesis.
Yeah, and man, I can't believe it might have been somebody. It might have been like Billy Carson or somebody I was listening to, but because they made an interesting point that not only was Enoch omitted, and that being ridiculous because it almost seems like the writer of Genesis assumes that the reader has already read Enoch.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Because there are things in Enoch that Genesis references. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's things in Daniel that references Enoch. All of these books that you say are part of the Bible.
And it's just like a quick reference again, like, yeah, you should have already known this.
Yeah, you should have already read this.
You should have already read that.
Right, because Enoch was written by he was the grandfather of Moses. Noah, yes. He was the most original writer of the Bible. Okay? So then,
some people think it might have been Thoth.
Mm-hmm.
Because people I've seen people say that Enoch was actually the ones that built the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make him fall.
But see, okay, so to go back to this Genesis thing, at the time the Nephilim appeared on earth as well as later, after the sons of God had intercourse with the daughters of man, who bore them sons, the Nephilim, they were the heroes of old, the men of renown. So that tells you right there, the ancient texts that we go, where we say Hercules and demigods in the Greek, it references demigods in the Bible. Because it says they were the heroes of old. They were the Hercules. They were all of these things that people say, well, that's just, nonsense. Hercules and all that is just mythology.
Yeah, Hercules would be part of the Titans and the Olympians.
Right, and according to them, that's mythology.
Right.
The Bible tells you they were real. If you believe the Christian Bible and you say you're a Christian, then you got to believe that Hercules was a real person. Because it tells you right there, the heroes of old were part of the Nephilim.
Right.
They were the Hercules. They were the Titans.
And so, going back to what I said earlier, too, about their plumbing working and... but it says they took them as wives, as many as they wanted. So I guess, honestly, it might not have been... it might not have been a pleasant experience. Not necessarily a pleasant experience for the daughters of men. You know what I'm saying? Like... it very well we might be talking about rape. Like forcefully raping, having no fucking care if you're hurting her or not. You're just wanting to fucking mate with her.
No, they took them as wives. They were actually living with them and stuff.
But it says as many as they wanted.
Right, yeah. Well, that's how it always worked back then. I mean, you look at Enoch, you look at Moses, you look at all those ancient tribes back then, Noah, they had way more than one wife.
Yeah, sure.
They had a bunch of them. So back then, that was normal stuff. It's interesting because then you go to the second book of Enoch, and it refers to the Watchers by their real name. He doesn't refer to them just as the Watchers. He says their name is the Grigori. They are a race called the Grigori. That's what Enoch says. He said the Watchers are a race called the Grigori. Yeah.
That's funny because our calendars are called a Gregorian
I
calendar.
know. Yeah. Grigori is a Slavic word used in the book, is a transcription of the Greek word, which is a Hebrew equivalent to waking, being awake, or watching. Okay. But yeah, their actual race was called the Gregorian. In chapter 18, he says the Grigori are countless soldiers of human appearance, so they look like us. But their size are greater than the Nephilim, being greater than the greatest giants. They are located in the fifth heaven and are identified as the Grigori, who with their prince, Satanal, rejected the Lord of Light. Enoch adds that their number was 200 myriads, or 2 million. Furthermore, some went down to earth from the Lord's throne, and they married women and defiled earth with their deeds, and they were confined underground. The number of those who descended to the earth is generally put at 300,000.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
That's a fucking massive civilization.
Yeah.
Right under our fucking feet.
And then, see, but these are not angels. Because if you look at chapter 29 in the second book of Enoch, there's an order of archangels and then angels and the ranks of angels. So you have the ranks of angels, and then you have these watchers, which are the Grigori. And the Grigori are completely a different race than angels. The angels were the servants of God, and the archangels were the highest angels. And then you look at demons, and demons are actually fallen angels. Beelzebub, who is an actual name for a demon, or who was an angel, is called, it says in the Bible that he was the highest angel. He was above all the other archangels. And that's the one we call Satan. But see, in the Bible, they don't necessarily refer to him as Satan. They refer to him as Beelzebub, the head of the angels. Mm-hmm. Right. But he's different than the Watchers. Those are completely different beings.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Watchers are a race that look just like us. They're a race that were much bigger than us, much taller than us, and much more powerful than us. But they were like us. They weren't like angels. They were like God. They were the sons of God, like Jesus. And when they came to earth, they could mate with humans, where demons, being an ethereal being, cannot.
I always think it's interesting, too, because if you take angel and you flip the E and the L, then what you have is angles. Mm-hmm. Angles of light. If we are light beings, then the angle of light coming from the cosmos, from the sun, from the heavens, is directly going to affect us as beings of light on Earth. And how the Earth is moving in the universe, and how the sun is moving in the universe, and how they're spinning is always going to be creating a different angle or arch angle of light. You know what I'm saying? So so what you're saying makes a lot of sense. That when the Bible's talking about angels, it's not talking about anything physical. It could literally be talking about the angle of light. Whereas the Watchers were talking about like extraterrestrial beings from somewhere else coming here.
Oh yeah, the Watchers were technically actual beings.
Yeah.
Whereas the demons, like Beelzebub, for instance, and there's others. There's Abathar, Abias, Azabel, Asmodeus, Azel, Mastema. But those are the demon heads that I'm talking about. But each of them do their own thing, each of these demons. Like, for instance, see, Beelzebub actually was a Philistine god, formerly worshipped in Ekron, and was later adopted into Abrahamic religions as a demon. Like Beelzebub originally wasn't considered Satan. Okay? It was a Philistine god worshipped in Ekron, and it was later adopted by Abrahamic religions as a major demon. Okay? It is associated with the Canaanite god Baal. So, in Christian, Beelzebub is another name for Satan. But he is known in demonology as not the head of hell. He is just one of the 7 princes of hell. He is also known as the Lord of Flyers, or the Lord that flies, or the Lord of flies. See, in the book of Kings in the Bible, Beelzebub was a deity worshipped by the Philistines, with the title Baal, meaning Lord, which was used in conjunction with the descriptive name of a specific god. And that offers different opinions on the name. So it literally translates to Lord of the Flies, which is interesting because that's why a lot of people don't know this, but you know the Amityville scene where they're in Amityville and all those flies are coming all over the priest? Mm-hmm. That's the reason they did that scene, because Beelzebub, who's Satan, is technically the Lord of the Flies.
Right.
And yeah. So, see, a lot of people say that Beelzebub, was like Satan, but that's not true. He's just one of the 7 princes of hell, which is the names I was just talking about, Azazel, Armadas. Mm-hmm. Those are all princes of hell. See, in the original text of the Bible, Satan is an angel over hell, okay? But Satan rules over all these other angels who are the princes, like Beelzebub and all of these. And in the, now see, I don't know how to say that word, Apocrypha?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, in the Apocrypha, it tells the different angels and the different categories. That's why this is such an amazing text, really.
Yeah.
Not just Enoch, but the whole thing. Because it gives you
all the Apocrypha
knowledge that the Bible doesn't let you in on.
Yeah,
it tells you all the demons.
The only book you omitted.
No.
That's what the Apocrypha is.
I mean, you got Esther. You have the Jubilles, Jasher. There's many of them. You know, Second Daniel was omitted.
Mm-hmm.
All of those were omitted from the Bible because King James, and the Catholic Church, who made the Bible,
authorized version.
Yeah, authorized version. Didn't like certain books in there. They thought it convoluted the story they were going for.
Well, there's certain books that give away too much knowledge. Here's my thing. If there's a race of beings that were cast into the inner earth,
mm-hmm.
and from somewhere else, you can't come back here. You stay down there. So they're going to be sent down here. They're going to be stripped of their technology. They're going to be stripped of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still going to be in the inner earth. And what are they going to be? To me, they're going to be striving to do one thing, and that's to get off the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, take a fucking look around, bub. What do we got going on? I think that maybe this race is running shit from underground.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that they're the secret societies. Right? They're the Freemasons. They're the ones that are the elites that have all the fucking money, all the fucking power, and now they're trying to get into space. We got people, private fucking industries going into space, getting off the earth.
Right. Well, like Azazel, for instance, interestingly enough, he appears in the scapegoat rites in the Bible, which Azazel is a demon that is responsible in association for taking the sins of the Jewish people onto himself, and that's why they sacrificed animals. So he's the one that taught them, basically,
really,
to sacrifice animals. And that's the thing, like, all these demons have a thing they do. You know, like Mastema, he appears in Jubilees. And he originally was an angel who carried out the punishments for God. He was also known as God. God sent him to test human beings, to test their faith, by testing their faith, by tempting them of the flesh. So he was also an angel of disaster. So he caused disasters to happen to humans. And he didn't like this. Okay, he didn't like his place that God was giving him. He didn't think it was right, according to Jubilees, to test human beings like this. He didn't think it was right for him to carry out the punishments for God to humans. So he, with the other angels, revolted. And that is why he is a fallen angel and was thrown into the pits of earth. Because God said, you'll do what I want. He said, I don't agree with what you're doing of testing these humans. I'm not going to do it anymore. And so he threw him into the pits of earth.
It almost sounds like that the God that we're talking about gives two shits about humans. And the people that we have been made to believe are demons are the ones that have our fucking back.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's literally what it sounds like.
He is also, when he was thrown to earth, Mastema became the chief of the Nephilims. He was one of the fallen angels that actually took over. Once he got to earth, he took over leading the Nephilim to destroy the earth and the humans. And he was planning on taking the Nephilim up to heaven to destroy God. That was their original.
Oh, nice.
That's what he was originally going to do.
He still may make it.
See, his actions and his name indicates that he actually might be Satan. A lot of people believe that Mastema is actually the name for Satan. But in Jubilees, he appears more like the demon that was in the book of Job, with the function to fulfill under God rather than the Satan of later tradition. But Belar is mentioned twice in Jubilees, is likely the identical twin of Mastema in his work. So there's two of these that were doing this, testing humans and coming down and causing disasters and doing this. So when God, see, in Jubilees, it also talks about something interesting that the Bible doesn't discuss. It discusses that when there was the flood, God was not only going to destroy humanity with the flood, he came down to earth and was going to destroy the fallen angels and the watchers. But Mastema intervenes, beseeching God to allow him to retain control of the demons in order to exercise his authority, because they are intended to corrupt and lead astray humans. So, and since he was the tester of humans, he got God's permission to rule over the watchers and the demons. So Mastema, that's why a lot of people think that Mastema is Satan. Because he said after the flood, it says in Jubilees, after the flood, Mastema went to God and he said, hey, before you destroy all of us, I know you're pissed.
Give us another chance.
But he said, give me a chance. You tasked me to test humans anyways.
Right.
He said, so we'll all test humans. You just give me reign over these demons. And I'll control them.
And it kind of sounds like the Bible basically took this story and just put the book of Job in the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. And he's the one in the book of Job. Which means Mastema is actually the figure we call Satan. Beelzebub was not. Beelzebub was a completely different demon that was actually a god to the Philistines. It was Baal's second hand. Which Baal, B-A-A-L, Baal. Yeah. He was a god in the Philistine religion, which was worshipped, which God said you don't worship him. It was one of God's major conflicts. You don't worship him.
Right.
But he is a god. So the second in command of that god was Beelzebub. And God and this Baal god decided Beelzebub couldn't be in heaven either, so they threw him out too. But Mastema comes to God and beseeches him. He said, I know you're pissed. Look, you want to destroy all of us. I get it. But he said, let me just control them. He said, I'll make sure they don't run rampant and do stupid shit on the earth. But then they can just go occasionally and test humans. And it sounds like the Mastema character is the Satan of the Bible. You know, so when we say Beelzebub, we're kind of backwards on the whole thing. Mastema is actually what you would call the Satan character. He's the one that rules over all these other demons and allows them to do what he wants them to do.
Right.
So he tells them what to do. And it's interesting because, you know, a lot of people, it shows in the Bible that Satan directly defies God. You know, he's the exact opponent of God. But if you look at Jubilees, the Mastema character or the Satan character still has permission from God to test humans. So, that saying your all-loving God is now, in your religion, testing us to see if we'll do bad. So he's allowing Satan and these other demons to test us to do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how is that in conjunction with a God that just wants you to do right? That shows you shows you a God that's telling you, hey, you know what? I'm going to see if you'll fail.
Right.
Let's tempt you as much as we can just to see if you're going to fuck up.
Right. And that was after I had to have this motherfucker beg me not to just destroy you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah, absolutely.
I've kicked these angels out of heaven because they started an uprising. Okay? I kicked the watchers out of heaven because they're giving you knowledge that I don't want you to have.
Right.
Okay? And I'm going to kick these beings out of heaven. And I'm going to destroy, thinking about, you know what? Fuck these beings. I'm just going to destroy them. And they're begging for their lives, saying, look, hey, you want us to test humans? hey, what better way to test humans than we're right here on the ground floor, guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right here, buddy. Right. We're already here.
Right, bud. Leave us here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. I mean, my God. Not only that, like...
I mean, that sounds like a sadistic person to me that will test you to see if you do something wrong.
There's God. There's beings similar to this God. They come down. They mate with women. They're not fucking supposed to. This doesn't seem like the God Almighty Creator. He seems like he would have foresaw this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then, not only that, why the fuck are we being punished?
Yeah.
Why are we being punished? Because these motherfuckers don't know how to listen. Why is my seat only abide now for 120 years? Like,
right.
What the fuck is this about?
Right.
That doesn't sound like it. That sounds like Satan to me. It would explain a lot. It would explain why we are so backwards in the way that we fucking think, folks.
Well, it sounds like a lot of sadistic shit.
Absolutely, and it's right there in your goddamn book.
Look, if I have kids, right, and my kids, okay, I expect them to do what I tell them to do. Now, if they don't do what I tell them to do, punishing them, yes. But I'm not going to test them and fucking put temptations in their way just to see if they'll do what I tell them to do.
Fuck no.
That's fucked up.
Right. No.
That's like I'm going to tell
your son,
right.
Look, you
can't have this piece of cake, but I'm going to sit this cake right in front of you and make you smell it and see how delicious it is. But I'm telling you, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Here's the cake. Don't touch it. Don't touch the cake. Because if you do, you're going to get punished. But I'm going to put this cake right in front of you, and I'm going to let you be hungry and look at the cake.
It's like giving them a new car, but telling them they can't
drive.
It's like giving them a piece of pussy and telling them they can't fuck.
Right. That's the most asinine shit in the world.
That's not God.
I'm going to allow you demons, who I kicked out of heaven, who I don't like, to test humans. I want you to, just to see if they'll fuck up.
Seems suspicious.
It seems sadistic as hell.
It is.
That's sadistic as fuck. See, the God I believe in doesn't do shit like this.
Absolutely not.
Right. I have a different belief.
100%.
So if you're believing the Christian Bible, then you got to believe all of it. You can't just pick and choose. So that's in the Bible.
Right. We're not talking about random shit from random books here.
No, I'm talking about shit that was written.
Damn Word of God.
Right. You're saying that's the Word of God and that's your religion that you believe in. You can't just say...
You ain't questioning it enough, man.
Right. You can't just say the book of Enoch, I'm not going to believe that.
Right.
Okay, but the book of Genesis I'm going to believe, but the book of Enoch, that's complete nonsense.
Even though Genesis clearly references...
Enoch.
Right.
Right. You can't say, well, okay, I'm going to believe this text of Moses, right? I'm going to believe, Genesis and Ecclesiastes and this stuff that Moses wrote. But Jubilles, which Moses wrote, and a lot of people don't understand this, Moses wrote Jasper, okay? Moses wrote Jubilees. It's proven that he wrote those two books, okay? As well as Genesis and Numbers and Ecclesiastes. Okay, how can you say I'm going to believe what Moses wrote here, but what Moses wrote here, I'm going to just dismiss?
That's what a lot of religious people do. That's
how do you do it, though?
They pick and choose what they want to read and want to believe. They see it how they want to see it.
But how can you say it? I mean, literally, how can you as an intelligent human being sit there and say, I'm going to believe what he wrote here, but what he wrote here, I don't like, so I'm not going to believe it.
Right.
It was written by the same guy that you say is part of your religion.
Jordan Maxwell, I love what he says. He's like, I don't know. He said, I believe in God. I don't know what God is. I just know it's not on TV.
Well, I believe in God, but I don't think the Christian religion has it correct.
No,
I don't believe any religion has it correct.
Especially the Christian religion, because what they've done is anthropomorphize, or how the fuck you say it, God. They've made God human.
Right.
And God's not human.
Well, see, this is the thing. You cannot understand a being that has lived way past your understanding. You cannot understand or even begin to comprehend the intentions of a being that is an immortal.
Right.
Right. Because he does not know death. He does not know time. He does not know the end of time. He looks at things on a much higher level. And that brings me to an interesting point real quick, and I'm going to kind of end on this because we're getting a little long on this, but if you think about it, this is the easiest way to explain it. We live in a three-dimensional world. Okay? We see things in height, width, and depth. That's how we see everything. Okay? Now, if you lived in a two-dimensional world, like a piece of paper, think about a piece of paper laying there and a drawing on the paper, and you were a two-dimensional being, could only see length and height. You can't see depth. If you set an apple on that piece of paper, it would leave an imprint on the paper. But all you would see is the imprint the apple left. You wouldn't actually see the apple itself. You would see the little spots the apple left, a two-dimensional spot. That's all you could see. So if we live in a three-dimensional world and there's a fourth dimension or a being like God who can see the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension and all these dimensions that we cannot perceive, okay, we would see time as a linear thing going. He sees time as a multi-universal thing, all at once. So he lives in a dimension where he can see things that we will never see. But time is interesting because if you're a fourth dimensional being, you don't see just one linear expanse of time. You see all possible futures. So when you say
the cycles,
right? So when you say, why didn't God know this was going to happen? Because it's one possible thing that's going to happen.
Yeah,
he sees all the possibilities,
and
he doesn't know which one is actually going to happen.
It's an interesting point too because it also, to me, brings into that things that we think are disasters and horrible and tragedies, in another scheme of things, are things that absolutely are necessary to achieve a longer term goal.
Correct, right. See, we don't see the end of it.
Right.
So if you could see what's going to happen in the future if this doesn't happen, okay, and you know this has to happen for this to happen. Yeah, the momentary moment, it's a disaster.
It seems evil at the moment.
Yes, but
in the
is it necessary to bring about what can happen?
Sure, and it makes sense, man, because it's as above, so below, too. Because, like, if you were to get down in a microscopic level of, like, the bacteria that live inside of us and on us at all times, it's a constant battle.
Correct.
There's bacteria that attack and eat other bacteria.
Right.
Constantly fighting, constantly at war, and it's an absolute necessary process for you to exist as you do right now.
Correct.
Well, then, so if it's that way on a microscopic level, then it's that way on a telescopic level.
Well, let's just bring World War II into it really quickly. Yeah, it was a horrible tragedy, and a lot of Jews died, okay, and a lot of people died during World War II. But if you think about this on a global scale of where we are now, if World War II had never happened, okay, the United States would not be what it is. England would not be what it is. France, Europe, all these countries would not be where they are today without World War II happening. Because the world itself, the economy of the world before World War II was crumbling. The United States was in the Depression. England was in their own recession. The economy was crumbling. World War II brought about a refresh of that economic process. It also spawned women to start going to work in a lot of countries, which led to female rights. Okay, so again, if you look at it on that level, the female revolution where females got rights would have never happened in the 60s had it not been for World War II.
Yeah, and if you want to know why females have been so oppressed for so long, you don't have to look any farther than the Bible.
The Bible, yeah, right.
Because it's got some doozies.
Yeah, they were second class citizens. But I mean, if you look at it, without World War II, you would never have civil rights. You would never have had any of those things happen that happened. Because civil rights was spawned by them needing soldiers in World War II. So what did they do? They integrated African Americans into the war, and that led and opened the door to the civil rights movement in the 60s. It opened the door to the women's rights movement in the 60s. All of this happened because of this huge tragedy. So if you look at it at a moment, yeah, it's a huge tragedy. But if you look at it on the grander scale, did that tragedy have to happen to spawn what happened in the future?
And like you said, if you're being ruled by somebody from a higher dimension where there is no death and there is no time, then, and if reincarnation's real, right? Yeah, then all the mass killings and genocide and shit doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really it doesn't take on the same evil connotation to a different being, because he's not seeing death as a tragedy.
No.
He knows that it's not real, right? Some of them will move on, some of them will be reincarnated, but that it's a never-ending cycle, a never-ending process, and there's no time. It's just a plan.
Well, if you even believe the Christian Bible, it says, if you don't believe in reincarnation, you just believe what Christians say. It even says in the Bible that death should not be mourned. It is not a tragedy. Birth should be mourned, because you're going to have to repeat what you already did on this horrible earth. Death is a celebration of someone going back to the source of God. So to him, you're right. To him, death is not a tragedy. So these hundreds of thousands of people die. To us, it's a tragedy. To him, that's a celebration of them coming back to heaven.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's even a part of the Bible where Jesus, there's something like there's a funeral, and somebody's like asking Jesus to come to the funeral, and he says, my work is for the living.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. I ain't got time for that fucking nonsense.
Yeah. It says in the Bible repeatedly, do not mourn death.
Right.
Celebrate life.
Right.
And celebrate death, because death means you're going back to where you came from, man. So, no, that being wouldn't look at Hitler killing 100,000 or 200,000 Jews as a tragedy. He looks at it as a necessary step to get to where we next need to be. And those 200,000 people are just coming back to him. So why would that be a bad thing?
Yeah.
That's a good thing to him. They're coming back to where I am. So we can all celebrate, because they're here now with me. They're not separated from me anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways, I hope you guys liked it. This is our episode on the Watchers, and I hope we made you guys think a little bit. Again, if you like this, please leave a review. Tell somebody about it so that we can grow, because the more people that listen, the bigger we get and the more things we can do for you guys. And like I said, if you get one person to listen to us and they get one person to listen, then, eventually we're going to have a lot of people listening.
It's a domino effect.
Right. And the more money that comes in, we're going to use it right back for the podcast. And we can do things like live shows, meet you guys, do better things for you guys. And like I said, if you like us and you listen to us, and I know some of you do, because, you're out there and you complain when I don't put a whole episode out. So I know somebody's listening. I see my stats. It's not a lot of you yet, but there are people listening. So if you like us and you do listen to us, and you've liked the show, please, like I said, leave a review anywhere where you can leave a review. Like us on Facebook. Join us on Facebook. Check out our TikTok. Check out our YouTube channels. And please, the best thing you can do to help support the show is to tell somebody else and get them to listen to it. So, anyways, we will see you guys next time.
Later.